It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, we're going to talk about enthalpy. You can pronounce it enthalpy, however, whatever. Point is this: it's a scientific notion, if you like, that states that if you have, let's say for instance, a boiling cup of water at 100 degrees Celsius, and you want to cool it down quickly, but before you do, you know that you've added energy to heat it up to that point. You want to cool it down, you've got to add equally or more energy. If you're using Peltier elements or whatever you're going to use to cool it down, you've got to add them as well. So the energy is always added. Yeah. The problem is this: you got this boiling water that required energy to heat it up. You got this boiling water that now requires extra energy to cool it down, and the energy just simply mounts up. It's the same as COVID-19. You know, the more we have an input on this issue, the more it will consume. And it's going to do that, guys, whether we like it or not. And I know the politicians and the prime ministers and presidents are going to say, well, we'll deal with this. But the more they do, they're just adding empathy to the solution and not fixing anything. The thing is with COVID-19, it's out the box. It's like we've opened the door of Pandora's box, and it's open now, and now we've got the trouble. There is lots of things, guys, I'd love to talk to you about, and the reason why I kept it short and sweet is because I kept it, pole shift related, earth health at a glance earlier in the video. But I like to think I'm like you guys. I want you to know that I'm the same as you guys. Every day we go through the same old shit in the system that we're in, and it could be a lot better. And the reason it's not is because a lot of us are lazy bastards that won't petition, protest, and try and change things. And that's simply because we've got enough to deal with on our own plates. Am I right? And that's why we don't. But it just requires a little bit of energy for us all to get together and change things tomorrow. We could spend just a couple of days all together, focusing on a single point, and we could change it tomorrow. It's as easy as that. But it will never happen, because majority of people that listen to this video, and the overwhelming majority that don't listen to this video, are engaged in their own little bubbles. They've got their own life. COVID-19, as far as I'm concerned, is a common cold. Nothing more. People die every day throughout the world in tens of thousands of numbers, if you want. And we've lived with this for 200 years of knowledge, of sharing information, so that we know that this is the case. COVID-19 is just another name for pneumonia, as far as I'm concerned. And we know if something gets out of the box, if it's a new form of pneumonia, which I believe it is, then it's already too late. We contained Ebola before it left Africa, but we didn't contain COVID-19. It's now globally spread. Problem with things like this is if you integrate a piece of bread, out of a loaf, and you put a bit of bacteria on it, it will consume the whole of the loaf. And the reason why I'm talking about empathy is because the inevitable is going to happen. Those that are vulnerable are inevitably going to get COVID-19 and die of it. Those are already marked. If they stay at home and they have a strict regime about what comes into the house, what leaves, not so much what leaves the house, but what comes into the house, then they might stand a chance. But unless they are very specific in the way they conduct their activities, nothing's going to change, unfortunately, with their what's the word I'm looking for? Not inevitability. It's well, it will be inevitability. What will take place will take place. What will happen will happen. Yeah, just like the mould that spreads across the whole of the loaf. I'll be honest with you guys. I thought it'd be a good idea to start drinking a bit of raspberry cider, and it's having a little effect already. So I'll try and still be conscious for you. I'm just like you. You get pissed off and you have a bad day, and I'm having a bad day today. And we resort to things like drinking raspberry cider. Try and fix it, but it doesn't, does it really? Again, empathy. We just add to the problem what we're trying to fix. You can't control empathy. Once you understand it, if we've got a glass of water sitting in front of us and we're even thinking about it, extra empathy is being added to that glass. If there are a crowd of people in your vicinity looking at the glass, the empathy is increasing. COVID-19 is the same thing, and there's nothing any government on this planet can do about it. It's a scientific notion which we've understood for years. It's like, someone's arguing with you, don't argue back, because you're just going to add empathy to it. Don't engage in the argument, because it just creates a bigger problem. I'm just looking out the window. You've probably seen that view that I'm looking at a few times if you've been following me. It's of scrubland. Some landowner decided, because he couldn't get planning on it, he'd just leave it and not take care of it, and obviously it's just growing like crazy now. That's the world we live in. If I could give you some solitude, I don't know if that's the best word to use. If I could give you some solitude, I'd just revert you back to the universal equation. Remember what that was all about. We all have a place in this life. We've all got our part to play, and we will do that. We'll do whatever we feel is right, and we're driven really by the equation, and the proof of that is in the equation. We will do what we have to do in this plan. The plan was designed millions and millions of years ago. I remember about 10 years ago when I introduced the universal equation to a few people, and I told them what it really meant. You're worried about dying in this world? Don't. I shouldn't be really sharing it with just general people, this information, but you don't have to worry about it because there's a plan. I'm a scientist. When I realised there was a plan, it changed my outlook on life. It really did. I know that there are, I worry about raising money for the observatory, but there are always some people that go much further than others, and those are the people that really make the difference. And it's weird because every month one of these people will pop up and appear that make the big difference to keep the observatory going. And I feel really lucky. I feel like supported by the universal conscious out there, because sometimes I feel the universal conscious leans on a few people to help us out here. Really annoyed me in that video I done earlier. Someone just simply, it was the first comment, the only comment, that just simply accused me of asking for money, like for no reason at all. It's incredible. I'm just like the restaurant owner at the moment. I can imagine the restaurant owners are petrified of the current situation, because they're being told, like here in the government, the UK government said you can open till 10 o'clock on the night. And speaking to someone in a shop the other day who's got friends in the business of restaurants, said from 10 till whatever time is the most important time for people, for businesses in that industry to earn money. And they're capping it. It's like they're crippling businesses on purpose. I know it's not a good thing to say, and I'm thinking scientifically and saying this scientifically, but the best thing to do is now let it rip. Let COVID-19, if it is a problem, let it continue. And nature has its way always. Now, you can preserve someone from dying now, or they will die inevitably later. But on the back of that, how much suffering are you going to put everybody else on this planet through? And is it worth it when you know the outcome is unavoidable? Those that are going to die of COVID-19 are going to die of COVID-19. You won't stop it. It's out the bag already. It's on the loose. We've failed to contain it. It's globally. And it doesn't matter what any individual country does at this point inside its borders, when you still have corridors of flights coming in and out. You are never going to contain this problem. The best thing to do at this point is let it rip. And we're going to lose people as a result of that. But at the same time, we won't damage economies. We won't put people on the streets because they're not working, and we will not see people evicted as a result of this. It is just a matter of time. There's two ways of doing it. The government took one chance on trying to fix it. They tried to, in the UK, try to prevent the NHS being overwhelmed. It doesn't make any difference, because you either take a heap of people ill now and deal with that, or you take a gradual amount of people over time. So for those that are healthy now and will fall susceptible to COVID-19 later, it was just a matter of time before it caught up with you. And COVID-19 was never going to go away. It's always going to be there until it has gone through the whole of the population. Just like the loaf of bread that we put there and allowed to go mouldy, it consumed the amount. Let me tell you something. I've studied biology. I'm a scientist, as you know. I think the simplest way of explaining to you what I'm trying to say to you guys is just buy a can of tomato soup tonight. Yeah, it ain't going to cost a lot. Buy it, open it, pour it into a dish, leave it in the air for 15 minutes, and then cover it in cling film so it's sealed, and then just leave it on the side in the room for the next few days, and you'll understand what I'm trying to say. There is the answer. What these world governments are trying to deal with. What's going to happen is mould is going to form on one part, and then you're going to see it form on many parts, and eventually it's going to consume the layer of tomato soup. You can't stop it. It's already out the box. You're better off just accepting the consequences as opposed to devastating the economy. So there are choices for these world governments, but they don't see that at the moment for some reason. The best rule of engagement is to let COVID-19, if it's a real problem, just let it rip. Because unlike Ebola we contained in Africa, this is out and is rife, and you're not going to stop it, and you're only going to damage the industries globally as a result, and you're only going to make more people out of home as a result. And if we're all selfish and think, well, you know what, let those that are out of work at the moment lose their houses because we're okay right now, because we're in a work, we're being paid, we keep the bills being paid. That's wrong. If we're going to have a monetary system, then we need to get people back into work as a result of that. And we can't have these stupid restrictions with regards to that. That's my theory on this, guys. That's my example of entropy. The more you try to do to contain a problem, the more you're going to add to the problem, and we're seeing that right now. The best thing to do is ignore the problem and carry on regardless, because what we are trying to deal with and what we're trying to fight with is nature and natural selection. Guys, there's a link down there if you want to help support what we do here at the observatory. We don't always talk about things like entropy and try and get you guys to understand or take a different opinion on subjects and things like that. What we're covering is probably one of the major events humanity has ever gone through. That's the pole reversal. And if you want to donate to our observatory, the links are down there in the description. And I'll say one other thing. You take care. As always, bye for now.